Welcome to another edition of the channel's Mailbag. So what is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is the part of the channel that you guys actually control. It's based on comments, questions, general feedback that you guys leave either on the YouTube channel, the website, or through one of my social media feeds. Mailbag contains what I think the answer is, what I think my view of the comment is, or sometimes, I just throw it out to the wider audience and say, what do you guys think? That's what Mailbag is. So let's get in to the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment question comes from Bambo. Brilliant. In response to the R8 assessment of the project restoration part 1 video I did in May 2025. And Bambo writes, I have both an R8 and an R5, so these videos are really interesting. Mine work, so I won't have to open them up anytime soon. I hope in brackets. But the cases are a little bit sticky on top. Do you have any advice on how I can restore them? Now, I actually have the R8 sitting here, right? So, what they did on this particular machine, I don't know why, is this is a plastic cover, and then they put onto this plastic cover like a, I don't know what you would call it, but it was kind of a rough paint finish to it. So if you look in the corner, I don't know where that comes up on camera, but if you look in the corner, you can see it's shiny where the paint's rubbed off, and the rest of it is kind of this dull effect. And then what they then did was obviously they then screen printed the case to get all the decals in the right places. That's what they did, and they, for some reason, Roland went through a whole raft of instruments around this time doing that particular thing, which was great at the time because it made him kind of look sort of kind of mean and moody. But after years and years of operation, some of these units look less than tip-top condition now, and that's a bit of an unfortunate thing, is the fact that they have. And if you've got something that's really bad, the best thing I can say to you is you can buy, there are guys online that will sell you the transfers in a and they do, there's a couple of options here. I've seen a guy online who sells the what do we call it, an overlay, a complete overlay, a complete wrapper, and you just basically put it on top of the unit and stick it down. But for that really to work well, what you need to do is take the unit to pieces, and you need to flatten this so it gives you something very good to make contact with when you put the new thing on. There's another couple of guys that actually do give you the transfers, the decals on transfer paper or on a clear plastic piece. And again, my advice would be, if you're going to go down that route, sand this down, repaint it a nice colour. You want to see what I'm doing with the R5, and then you put the new decals on, but you've created a nice flat surface for them to adhere to, rather than this, which is quite a rough surface. If you tried to put stuff on here, they would peel off relatively quickly. So that's kind of what I was saying. What I was looking when I said overlay, of course, the word I'm looking for was skins. So my advice is, I wouldn't put a skin on a machine unless I really had to put a skin on a machine. And if the machine is so damaged, and if you look to my R5, I did do a video on the R5. It's on the channel. Go find it. But if you look at the R5, that's so badly damaged that the only way I'm going to get that back to any sort of semblance is to actually rub it down and start again. Anyway, the skins I mentioned, there's the the person I was thinking of was a company called styleflip.com. If you go onto their website and look for R8 custom skins, you could find the skins there. And then the other option, which is the option I've gone down, is I've contacted somebody who's going to do the refurb job for me. I'm not going to refurb this because I don't have the skill set. I dare say I could do it with a lot of thought about and some craft knives and a great deal of patience. I probably could do it, but actually, you know what? For what I'm going for, I think that's the best option. Is the option I've chosen, and I'm being very careful not to tell you what I'm doing. Next one comes from Local Hero, and this was in response to the Yamaha CX5M. How to capture low resolution video output from your keyboard, computer or sampler. A video I did in December 2020. And Local Hero, it's, hi, thank you for the video. I'm currently trying to simplify this. Do you know if the RGB output through the DIN 8 pins is analog or digital RGB signals? So this one again is a relatively simple question to answer. The RGB output on the Yamaha CX5M is analog, and you can get it straight from an RGB to SCART cable for the computer. If you have a TV or a monitor that accepts or still has a SCART cable, because a lot of TVs nowadays, a lot of the modern TVs, they've done away with the SCART connector, and if you want SCART, you have to buy a connector that does effectively SCART to HDMI or SCART to a weird input. So be careful on that one. Older TVs, I've got an older TV in the lockup, and that still has a SCART connector, and I'm not sure. I'm kind of still in an R in whether I'm going to put it on the wall there, so that I can have when I've got samplers and stuff that needs a TV in the rack, I can put it there, because I use the other monitor in here quite often with the Muse. So the Muse receptors I throw up onto that, as well as throwing up Logic as well. So that works quite well. But that one there, I'm in an R in about. So that's the bottom line. Is it's an analog signal to a SCART TV. If you've got HDMI, then you have to upscale it. So you need an upscaler. And there's the upscaler that was used in the video does the conversion of video signals to a digital signal, which can be used in HDMI. I use that quite often to record samplers or output from the CX5M or something else that is like that, because you can't record, well, you don't get a particularly great signal if you try to record the SCART or the RGB direct, but I find if you stick it through an upscaler, then the computer's quite happily recording that sort of stuff. So and that was pretty much the reason why I made the video, because lots of people are asking me, how do you get it onto a normal TV? Well, the video tells you exactly how and what hardware you need. So there you go. If I remember correctly, I'll put a link to that particular video because it has all the hardware components in it.